We are a partnership at Tubeless Creek. We're equally owned and run by two families. One of the families is my family. My dad was Robert Haas. He was an importer of mostly French wines, but wines from around the world, all the way back into the 1950s. And the other partners in Tubeless Creek are the Perrin family from Chateau de Beaucastel in Chateauneuf-du-Pape, whose wines my dad introduced into the U.S. market in the 60s, and
Mhm.
with whose proprietors he became friends. So it was on their trips to California to sell their French wines in the 70s and 80s that they became convinced that there was this opportunity to focus on the same grapes that they were using in
Mm.
the south of France in California. And whatever, 10, 15 years later, they finally decided to try it themselves. So that's how we ended up focusing on Rhone varieties, specifically Chateauneuf-du-Pape styled blends in principle, here in Paso Robles, California. I think the thing which is surprising to people is learning that there are something like 2,500 grape varieties that are used to make
Wow.
wine around the world. I mean, you
Wow.
ask the average American wine, even the average American like wine lover, they could probably name like 10. The Rhone is more complicated because depending on which region in the Rhone you're in, there's anywhere from 13 to 22 grape varieties that are allowed.
Wow.
And the Southern Rhone is kind of this crossroads culturally where you have a lot of influences coming down from more continental parts of France, and that brought grapes like Syrah, Viognier, and Marsanne. And then you have influences coming up from Spain, which brings grapes like Grenache and Mourvedre and Grenache Blanc. And then you've got grapes that evolved locally in the south of France that are added to this mix. So
Mhm.
the most Chateauneuf-du-Papes are mostly blends. They don't have to be. There's no reason why you couldn't make one that was 100% Grenache. It's just not the way it's typically done. When we started, we realized that one of the things that we needed to do was like start by importing grapevine cuttings because there were
Yeah.
several of those traditional Rhone varieties that had never been used in America before.
Mm.
And that led us to also take a deeper look at the key varieties which were here, and we concluded that, like, yeah, maybe there was Grenache here, maybe there was Mourvedre here, but they maybe weren't the best clones of those things. So all of this allowed
Yeah.
us, well, encouraged us to go in and take new cuttings of everything from Beaucastel, bring them into Talbot Creek, wait 3 years for them to clear quarantine, and then build a grapevine nursery, which like that was not originally part of the plan. We thought we were going to be just growing grapes and making wine. But it turns out that when you bring grapevines into the country, you're not allowed to bring in the thousands that you need to start planting a vineyard. You're allowed to bring in six of each type, and then you need to propagate those into enough to plant. And that led us into a second business and a whole different relationship with kind of the California and Paso Robles wine community.